Yeah, no, I don't think so. All right, so today's date is September 30th. Let's just put a time date stamp on this.
Right.
This is Joel and I's first run at this. Joel, top of your mind, what's the first name for this you come up with? The Joel Lowe Show. The download with Joe Lowe.
Why not? Keep it simple. Right?
Keep it simple. Keep it simple.
It's simple.
You know what? I like that. I don't think that's terrible, and I don't mind not being a part of it, part of the title name. I don't.
Right.
No, all seriousness, I don't. What would you think about the Down Low with Joel Lowe and Mike Dorezzo?
I like it.
All right.
I like it.
All right. All right.
Man.
You're welcome.
Hey, I appreciate that. So,
all right.
What are we going to dive into today?
So I figured you sent me an article recently about how wearable technology is sensitive and carries a lot of information. It also requires you to grant access to other bits of information. Right. You sent me an article about this breach. You want to talk a little bit about the breach that you found or you read about?
Yeah, let me pull it up real quick. So Website Planet, right, is where I pulled the report from. What they're talking about is that individual was able to find a database that had 61 million records that came from a HealthBit, right? So it's what the fitness health bit that is on your phone, and this information was unencrypted, right? So it's in plain text, right? And what do we mean by plain text? Just to break that down, meaning that it's visual to the naked eye, right? There's nothing that is blocking that information or breaking it up so that people who shouldn't see it can't see it or read it, right? So plain text in that form, just as simple as it sounds. So what it was first name, last name, geographical location, health information, all in a database, 61 million. And he reached out to the company and said, hey, this is out there and whatnot. And I guess they moved to kind of fix things. But what can you do with this information? And that is the key that I think people miss, right? Is you have 61 million people's information, giving geographical location, health information, first name, last name. Well, what does that mean to the normal user, right? Why should I be concerned? I've heard of PII, I've heard of HIPAA, but what does that mean, right? And for this one, it's pulling that string, right? To be able to show that now from here, where can I go? I can go to your Facebook. I can go to any social media platform that you have and figure out additional information because I know geographical location where you're at, right? I also can figure out where you are as far as a health thing, right? So if I know your geographical, maybe there's only two providers within that city, right? Big company. So now I can start pulling that information to figure out what's going on. And from there, I can now fish you, right? What is phishing? Phishing is, well, do you tell them what phishing is?
Yeah, so phishing is when an attacker sends an email to you as basically a victim, and they pose something else. So very common ones are, I must get one from Geico every day, and I report it as a phish. But also Bank of America, Wells Fargo, a lot of financial institutions have very recognizable logos and very easy to capture. So an attacker can go in and grab these things right off the internet and say, I want to grab that Bank of America logo or this local bank to you because I have your, first name, last name, and address, potentially your geographic location. Let me grab a local bank in that area and pose as that person and say, hey, look, if you reach out to me and click this link, we can start getting you a very low interest rate as interest rates go up. Usually fishes are difficult to find out what might be causing, if you have training, they're easy to understand, but if you've never been trained on how to spot a fish, it can be a little difficult. They've gotten sneakier, right? Sometimes you can rest your cursor over top of the link and say, whoa, that's not going to Bank of America, or that's not going to whatever it says, that's going to Mike's House of Style, which is, a hacked website or something like that. So
Right.
the object is to send an email to someone who's unsuspecting, have them open it and do some kind of action, whether that's click a link and take them to a website to gather more information, click on what they call it, a weaponized file, like a PDF file, and go from there. So if you're not expecting something from somebody, if it looks kind of fishy, not to use a pun, but if it looks too good to be true, if they're forcing you to say, hey, hurry and do some action before time runs out and you lose out on it, don't do it, right? If it really is a sale, it can go on.
No, that's the key, right? It's always a knee-jerk reaction. Like, hey, we just got a wire transfer that this amount of money is coming out. We need you right now to put in your account information so we can block it. Like, it's always a knee-jerk, like, you got to do it right now. And that right there is a telltale to let you know, like, I'm not sure about that, right?
Yeah, still waiting on my check from that prince in Nigeria, right?
I still ain't got that either. Right?
He'll get to it. He'll get to it. It's probably a lot of people. He's very wealthy.
The mail is slow. The mail is slow.
It is. So now that we've kind of defined what a fish is, now that we have this information, how does that match up, Joe?
Right. So once they have this information and they can do phishing, right? Now it's a targeted attack, right? Is what we call it. Because I now know more about you. Some of the things that I see too that always makes me smile and be like, wow. You'll see people on Facebook or different social medias, they'll say, hey, what was your high school mascot? Right. Everybody goes through, hey, what was your first car? Right. Let's go back down memory lane. And people put it on there like, my first car was this. Well, if you look at your security questions, when you set up something, it asks you, what is your high school mascot? It asks you, what was your first car? So they're asking these questions because they're phishing you to get additional information.
That's a good point.
It is just funny to me that we give that up readily. Just, hey, I love, I was this, and not realizing that people can use this information to then take over your account, right?
Yeah.
So we must be mindful of the information that we share. And I think you stated best when we were talking in the green room was we're a social kind of people. We like to talk with people and connect with people. I think that's what made the pandemic so hard. We had to be shut up and locked into one area. But the thing is, sometimes we have to think about maybe we shouldn't be a social people. Maybe some things we need to keep closer to the vest, right? And that's why this information being out there. And also, too, what are you giving them access to? When you let them have, when you give them permission to that app, right? When I say, hey, my iHealth, I want to give them permission because if something happens to me, it alerts these people and it does these things. And that's great features, but what else is it doing? It has your complete contact list, right? It has your geographical location of where you go, how much time you do certain things, how long you're on stuff. It's a lot of information, right? And some of it, I'm wondering, is it necessary? Like, do you need to know how long I'm on an app?
Yeah. To what end? Right.
For what
is that a benefit to me?
Right. How does that work for me? And I think what we have to do is we have to question these things more and really ask questions of why. Like, I know that you can download, like I've downloaded apps before because I just want to get my daughter something, right? Like, hey, look, play with this toy or play with this game on my phone. And I didn't read through what it needed access to. Right.
The end user licensing agreement.
Right. I'm like, what did I just give them access to?
Right.
What are we doing? Right. And I'm just wondering how many people have ever downloaded an app and actually read through what you're giving them access to.
No, it's true. It's true.
I'm guilty of not doing it, and I've been in this field for 15 years and I'm guilty of it. So if I haven't done it, I know that there's billions that haven't looked at it, right?
Yeah. No, it's true. So since now that we've kind of boiled down, what it is, maybe some of the dangers and everything, let's talk about how people can protect themselves, right? So,
cut everything off. Cut everything off. Disconnect.
Right. Like a good security person, you're going to put it in a safe and bury it at the bottom of the ocean.
There he is.
But, and Joel, in your mind, what do you think is important for somebody to know, right? How do I get out of this? Now that I know this information, and let's assume that I did participate in this, what do I do? Where do I go from here? What are your thoughts on that?
I think you have to first, You can't boil the ocean, right? So how do you eat an elephant one small bite at a time, right? And I'm always about, again, keeping it simple, right? So one thing is looking over your footprint, right? Looking over what information you have out there, not using the same passwords, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Implementing two-factor. A lot of these things have two-factor in place. Your bank account has two-factor on it.
So what is two-factor authentication?
It's a great question. Glad you asked. So two-factor is something you know, something you have, right? So something you know would be like your password, right?
Okay.
I know my password. Now I'll use ATM card, right?
Okay.
So you know your password, right? Boop, I push it in. Something you have is your card, right? That's two factors to be able to get into your account, right? And then the third factor is like a biometrics.
Okay.
No? Right. Biometrics.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
I'm trying to remember the official definition of the third one.
So it's something you are, something you have, and then something that's given to you.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Something.
Okay.
Yeah. Something you know. So one-time passwords are authenticator or some kind of RSA token or things like that. I agree with biometric. I think biometric can also be a third factor. So like my Apple Watch, I log in with a PIN and it remembers who I am because it's logged into me. It's attached to my skin. And as long as it's attached to my skin, it's my two-factor. So it logs me into my MacBook. If my MacBook locks, it does all kinds of probably really dangerous things. As a security professional, I should know better. But okay, so that's two-factor authentication. And you were saying you could turn this on for really sensitive things.
Right. So for your bank accounts, they already have it in place, even from like your free Gmail or different things. Like you can put two-factor in place, even for your health records. They already have it. You just have to enable it. Right.
Right.
That's the thing. It's just a step, right? To go in and say, yep, I want to do that. Right. And yeah, it may be inconvenient, but the price of your security and going through the nightmare of trying to recover your information and your money and whatever else is a nightmare. So why would you want to go through that when you can just click a button and say, yeah, from this point forward, just text me. Right. And I can say yes or no, that's me. And you see this already in place at work. Most companies already have, like you said, an RSA token or some kind of generator that's on your phone that you then push to say, yep, it's me. And then it propagates and lets you in. Right.
Yeah.
So my thing is something simple as that. Right. Let's do real simple things. Right. Number two, change your passwords.
Yes.
Right. So people have the same password forever and they have it for everything. Right. Change them and figure out you can get a password safe and which I have on my phone.
I do too.
Right. You can get a password generator and then store it somewhere. And a password safe literally is what it sounds like. It's a safe where you can store your passwords, a digital safe. Right.
What did you have any examples of what that looks like? So I use 1Password.
Yeah, I use 1Pass. Yeah.
1Pass and KeyPass, Dashlane. Yeah.
I haven't used that one, but I have heard of it. So my thing is there's a lot of them out there, right? Figure out which one works best for you that you like and download it and change you can generate a password on that and then put that in and store it. So now all you got to remember is 1Password.
1Password.
You can use your biometrics, right? You can use your phone or your eye or however get into that, which is another beautiful thing. So to me, that's top of mind there. Two, some of the things you can do is lock your credit.
Yeah.
Right? So you can lock your
that's big.
And lock your credit. So now even if somebody gets your stuff, they don't have the password to be able to get in to unlock your credit. Right. So if they try to get a credit card, they try to do something, they'll shut that down. Which is a beautiful thing. Like I've locked my daughter's credit. Right. You know what I mean? You can do it.
Yeah. No, that's great. That's a great idea, especially for young children, kids under 18.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah. That's awesome. Yeah.
No. I was gonna say, hackers don't discriminate. Right. They don't care about age.
Right.
They don't discriminate. They just want.
And this is the day and age when public schools are getting hit. Right. And I remember being on with a client when I was a consultant, and the client was a public school, and they said, why would they do this? And I said, because you have no credit. You have a bunch of public information, personal identifiable information of people and little ones that don't have a credit rating right now.
Right.
So they're tabula rasa, they are clean slate,
Yeah.
and you can do whatever you want, right? You can take out that 29 APR credit card. They'll love to give it to you because you have no credit.
Right.
Well, and then that's irrevocably damaged. So now what? You're not going to find out about it until 5-6 years later, right? When you're applying for student loans or maybe a job or something like that. So yeah, no, that's a great point. If you have children, lock their credit rating. Yeah, that's great, Joel. What a great tip.
I mean,
Very
my thing
simple.
is, how hard is that? Just lock it. So my thing
Right.
is, I want you to walk away with simple, easy ways to better your life. Like, if you don't do nothing else with this one little thing, you just move,
I agree.
2 steps forward, right?
Yeah.
And out with it.
Okay, so that kind of talks about a little bit about what you would do and to protect yourself and everything else moving forward. What would you tell the every person, right? I'll start it off. When you download that app, are you downloading it from a reputable source, right? So even Apple Store has had some questionable things that they approved one thing, and then several versions later something else came out and it maybe had some questionable things attached to it, right?
For the most part, for disclaimer, they do a pretty good job. Apple. Yeah,
I agree. It's not an open marketplace,
right.
And there are some you get a percentage of everyone I sell. There's a reason for that.
Correct.
But so you brought up a good point before, where it's like, hey, this app needs access to my contacts. To what end? Right. So I ask my guys when regulatory compliance things come up, I say, hey, why are you doing that? To what end? Like, what is it for? What do you need it for? That was a great idea. You said, hey, why do you need access to my contacts? Right. What else have you seen in your experience?
So I know for the iPhone, and I'm not sure for Androids, but it always asks me, can I access certain things while in use or all the time, or notification and whatnot? Read through those, right? You don't need to be sending me stuff if I'm not using it, right? You can cut that off.
Notifications.
Cut that off. I don't want you to keep pinging me all the time that IKEA's having a sale, right? Or wait, got 20% off. Unless I'm clicking on it to be able to look for something, then you can notify me. You can tell me something.
And it uses battery, right? At the end of the day, you're just spinning another thing in the background that's keeping an ear out.
Why do you keep going low? Because you got everything notifying, right?
Right. Turn off your notifications. Yeah. If you don't need it, just don't activate it. What else would you say out there? Just some regarding this area. Would you say don't get one of these connected health apps or these connected health devices?
So I used to feel like, don't connect and, do all this thing and build a bridge with a mode and, protect yourself. But IoTs, which is the Internet of Things, are everywhere, right?
Yeah.
Even from, I look through my house and everything is IoT, right? And people's not as crazy as I am, where I'm like, I got a firewall, I got to block this off to help protect myself. But you think about it, my air conditioning, right? Thermostat is IoT connected, right? I'm just like, my wife I could be sitting beside my wife, and she's like, hey, can you turn the air down? And I go on my phone and turn it down, right? It's the convenience, right? So everything that's convenient is a risk, right? And I think my thing is we have to weigh that out of what that is, but also identify that we know we have it. Like I have a friend of mine, they bought a brand new refrigerator, right? Now I've told this before, and it's able to see the door camera, right, on the screen.
Terrifying.
And then when she's at the grocery store, his wife can pull up the picture inside the refrigerator and see what's missing. And the refrigerator will give them a grocery list, right? That sent to their phone, right? And for about 2 seconds, my wife was like, "Oh, we need to get one of those." And I'm like, "Why? What are we doing? Can we not write a grocery list out before we leave? Like, I don't need to look at a camera inside." But also too, if I can do that on my phone, right? What's the security if somebody else is now looking and using that camera for something else, right?
Nefarious, yeah.
Right. You just never know. Like they can look at the camera and say, you know what, for the last 2 days, nobody's opened the refrigerator door. I don't think anybody's home. Right.
Ooh,
Right?
that's a great,
So
holy.
now let me go in and relieve them of all their nice stuff. Right. Not steal it, relieve them of all their
Relieve
nice
them.
stuff.
Right. These
Let
chains
me
that are
sound
holding you
nice.
down.
Right. So my thing is, even the cameras in my house, right? When they put them up, I was like, I just want them at the doors, right? I don't want you to see a widespread of everything, because my thing is, how do I know I gotta trust, my security people that all they're looking at is when that alarm goes off, right? How do they know if I just want to walk downstairs to get a beverage and I don't feel like putting no clothes on, right? I don't need that on the internet or people watching. And you've seen videos, which is not hard. You can literally Google it, where people have hacked into baby monitors, right? So my thing is, even something as simple as that, right? You have all these things that are connected to the internet, and you don't know any security about them. You don't anything around it. So asking questions, like I've picked up the phone and literally called the manufacturer, said, "What is your security? How's it set?"
Oh wow, yeah.
And you know what's so funny is they're always like, "Oh, I'm not sure. That's a good question. Hey,
that's a good question.
Hey, get me to the right department that can answer."
Why do you need to know that?
Right? Hey, we never had anybody call that. Well, that's scary, right? That nobody's ever asked that, right?
Right.
But I'm just always thinking of like, why is this doing this? And how do I know that you protect us? What is the checks and balances?
So it's kind of like that line from Jurassic Park where Jeff Goldblum's character is like, your scientists were coming up with ways of things. You never stopped to ask, should we be doing this kind of thing? That's a great point, Joel. So you have a firewall in place, and there are some pretty cheap and inexpensive firewalls, but you also know how to set these things up.
Correct.
You've been in IT for a minute or so.
Right.
So how do you convey that to somebody else, right? Like my father and my mother and my family members who maybe aren't technical, or getting older and just don't have time to deal with it, but want that cool convenience of having a smartphone or having a Nest thermostat device and things like that. Is there any kind of suggestions for you, for them to you, other than call Joel Lowe?
Yeah. Well, it seems like everybody calls me in my family. I am the help desk, right?
I am IT support for my family.
But you know what's so crazy? What's on the rise? Elder fraud.
Yeah.
Elder fraud is so it's so high right now, and the reason why is because all the technology, right? And they're taking advantage of the fact that they don't understand it, right? So one of the things that I have to realize is I have to be patient and understand that when they do call, right, to say, "Hey, Joe, I got this email," or "Hey, they said my warranty was this," I can always say, "Nope, don't call," right? Or my favorite thing to tell people is, if somebody calls you and they say they're from a reputable company, hang up and call the number that you know, right? And ask the question, right? So let's say we use Geico, right? Let's say Geico calls me and say, "Hey, Joe, we got an issue. Somebody hit your car, and they're now saying that you hit their car, and we're doing whatever it is, and we need to process your information. We need some information from you," right? Oh, wow. I don't remember that. My wife didn't tell me that. What? Wow, I hit somebody? Okay, well, I'll call you back and we can fill this out, right? No, let me give you a number. No, I have the number. I'm good. And you hang up and you call back. And then you ask Geico, and they'll be like, "No, where'd you get that from?" No, nobody's called you. And the thing that's so crazy is people will take this advice, but then take the number from the people on the phone. "Well, I'm going to call you back." "Well, here's our number. It's 1-800, I got you." Right. And it's like, "Oh, okay." And then when I talk to them, they're like, "Well, Joel, I called them back and they picked up." "Well, where'd you get the number from?" "Oh, they gave me the number." No.
Of course they did.
No, don't use their number. Use the number that you know, right? That you trust.
Google it. Yeah, absolutely.
Google it.
I love the people who are like, "Hey, Mike, we just need to verify some information for you." You called me.
Right.
And so far, everything that you've said to me is stuff you can find out on the internet. So,
Right.
Mike, we see that you recently moved. You're like, yeah, because you saw that my address changed
Right.
online, or
Right.
like, okay, you told me nothing that is
Absolutely
sensitive
right.
information. Why would I give you my date of birth or social security
Right.
number? So yeah, Joel, you're right on. Call them back. Like, use
Right.
that number. Be like, okay, great. And what department do you work for? Great. I'll go ahead and call that number back, and we'll go from there.
Right.
So that's absolutely great. Well, Joel, I think this is great information. Is there any kind of parting thoughts that you would want to give to
Yeah.
the masses out there?
Yes. So here's the last one. Here's the nugget.
All right.
Sometimes you have to be not nice, right? We're such a nice people and don't want to hang up on people and don't want to be rude, and not being rude, but just sometimes you have to get off the phone, right? And then call them back. And I think the problem is the hang up is you let them keep talking and they eventually suck you in, right?
Yeah.
And I know that with a lot of older people or a lot of people who don't want to be mean, right? And my thing is, it's not being mean to hang up the phone, right?
Right.
Nope, I can't do it. Sorry about that. And hang up the phone. And then if
Yeah.
you think it's something that you need to address, call that company back.
Right.
And my thing is, G.I. Joe said it best, knowing is half the battle.
Half the battle. Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. And then would you ever use a fitness device or a fitness app and connect it?
I do.
Yeah, there you go.
I am in the matrix, y'all. So and I can't take the pill to get out, right? So
yeah.
My
just
thing
take
is
both
you're
of them.
smart enough to know what you're giving them access to. I think again, knowledge is the key, right? If you know what you're giving them access to, you know then what you're relinquishing, right?
Yeah.
And that's important.
Take a minute, right? Take a minute, think about what you're relinquishing. Great point. Well, Joel, thanks so much. I really appreciate it. That's the download from Joel Lowe. We'll go ahead and sign off and talk to you guys next time.